Hey everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a fall book recommendations video. Some are like warm and cozy books, and then others are more like suspenseful, atmospheric books. So I'll break the video up into two parts. I'll start with the warm and cozy ones, and then I'll move into like the suspenseful, atmospheric ones. So if you want to see what I have, just keep watching. So the first one I have is The XX by Erin Sterling. 9 years ago, Vivian is heartbroken and she's a young witch, and she accidentally curses Reese Penhallow, who's like her ex-boyfriend, and then he like kind of leaves the town and goes back, I think, to London, and then years later he comes back to the town to like kind of like recharge the magic ley lines, because this town is full of magic. But he and Vivian soon realize that he's actually cursed and a lot of silly things happen to him, and so they kind of got to work together to break the curse. So this was a cute romance, a cute witchy romance. Definitely good for like October time period. The next one I have is Clean Sweep by Ilona Andrews. I just read this one recently and I absolutely loved it. This one is like a short story, like a novella, and it's about Dina, who runs like a bed and breakfast in a small town, a small Texas town. But Dina doesn't like run an ordinary bed and breakfast. It's a lodging for like otherworldly visitors, and she realizes that things are kind of amiss because these animals, these dogs, keep on dying, and she realizes it's kind of like a paranormal thing that's happening. And then so she sees the werewolf in town, and she knows he's a werewolf, and she's like, hey, you need to take care of this. And they kind of eventually end up teaming up together to help, because it starts like attacking, you know, the townspeople. And so she ends up teaming up with the werewolf, and then somehow a vampire gets involved, and then the house is like a sentient house. I really enjoyed this one, and it's like the first in a series, and so I want to continue on. But this was definitely another fun one for like the spooky Halloween season. The one I have is Mating the Huntress by Talia Hibbert. This one is a novella, and it's a paranormal romance. So Chastity is a huntress who isn't allowed to hunt because of a prophecy that her parents were given like at birth. And so Luke is like a werewolf who comes into her like family's coffee shop, and she knows he's a werewolf, and she's like trying to figure out like, why is he here? And he is coming in to see her, and so it's kind of like their romance from there. The next one I have that's kind of like warm and cozy, and it's another like paranormal romance, and that one is Reborn Yesterday by Tessa Bailey. So this one is about Jenny Lynn. She works in like a mortuary, and then Jonas like ends up on her table, but then he comes back to life, and like she realizes, obviously, you know, he's a vampire or paranormal of some sort, and it kind of goes from there. He's supposed to like I think it's like, I don't know, compel her or whatever to forget him, and he can't do it. So it kind of goes from there. I thought it was cute. So those are all the ones I have for like the warm and cozy section. The next one I'm moving on to is like the suspenseful, like atmospheric ones. And the first one I have is Dying Breath by Heather Graham. This is like a paranormal romantic suspense. So Vicky is attacked by a serial killer as like a teenager. And that was like the first time she ended up seeing a ghost. And years later, she's living in Boston. I believe she's like a historian, and there's a serial killer on the loose, and she is kind of like drug into it because he ends up mentioning her by name. And so she kind of has to work with the police, and one of the police, I think he's like a paranormal detective of some sort. They work together, and it's kind of like a suspense. They're trying to figure out this mystery, this serial killer, and then kind of like their romance. So I thought this one was definitely like suspenseful, and so I thought it was good. So the next one is The Obsession by Nora Roberts, and this one is as a girl, Naomi follows her dad into the woods, and that where she finds a girl trapped in the root cellar. She ends up helping the girl escape and like kind of turning her father in. Years later, she's a photographer living in a small town. She was kind of like moving from place to place, and she finally kind of settles in this town, finds a house she likes, and is trying to like, you know, kind of fit in. She meets I think he's like a carpenter or something to do with building, because he helps with the house. But she soon realizes that like the sins of her father kind of follow her, and things start happening, and it's kind of suspense from there. I definitely thought this was a good Nora Roberts book, and it was definitely had like the spooky or like the atmospheric vibes to it. So definitely a good one to read during the fall. The next one I have is In the Hall with a Knife by Diana Peterfrund, and this one is kind of like, it's kind of Clue-esque, if you know the board game Clue, or even the movie, I guess, Clue. And this one is like set in like a boarding school, and so it has like kind of these atmospheric vibes. Obviously, they're all staying together. Someone gets murdered. There is a murderer in the house. Nobody really knows, you know, secret passageways. Really did enjoy this one. It kind of threw back to like when I was a kid and I would play Clue. So this one was a good one to read during the fall season. And the last one I have is actually my current read, Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. And this one I'm actually, if you can see, I'm almost done. And so this definitely has like atmospheric vibes, kind of has like suspense of like who is Jack the Ripper. So it's definitely good. I have a few opinions on who it might be. I do enjoy, this is kind of like, I guess, you know, not a retelling, but based on a real person. But it is a good one so far, and I am enjoying it. I believe this is also considered young adult, but it is a good one, definitely good to read during the fall season. So those are all my fall book recommendations. Let me know what recommendations or what suggestions you have in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you would like to, and I'll just talk to you all later. Bye!